From a place that literally has hell burning right at your feet, to a ghostly fortress that dominates the skyline, then to a town where ignoring the warning signs might be the last thing you ever do. I am Dr. Nebula, and this is my scary top 10. Number 10. Edinburgh Castle. Edinburgh, the capital city of Scotland, was sure to make it onto this top 10 list for being one of the most haunted cities in the UK. And right at the heart of all the paranormal sightings within this historic city is Edinburgh Castle. The castle stands high and proud upon the plug of an extinct volcano known now as Castle Rock. Few of the present buildings predate the 16th century, when the castle took heavy damage during the Lang Siege, but the castle remains one of the most attacked places in the world, but was only ever sieged 26 times, making it one of the best defended fortresses in the UK. The castle has witnessed countless deaths over the years, and its ancient dungeon was the beating heart of all of its torture and torment. Even witches were burned at the stake here. One of the most reported ghost sightings is that of a young bagpiper. So the stories say, when the nearby Edinburgh vaults were first discovered, a young bagpiper was sent down to investigate. He played his bagpipe so that those above could track him, that is, until his music stopped. Search parties were sent down, but he was never found. Now people report hearing his haunting bagpipes echoing throughout the castle, whilst his soul eternally walks the tunnels below. Number 9. City of the Dead. Located in Dargavs, southwest Russia, close to the border with Georgia, lies the City of the Dead. There's not all that much to say about this place. At first glance, it looks like a tranquil village of small white stone houses built into a scenic mountainside. But these are not houses. They are in fact crypts and tombs. There are approximately 100 of them, and they lie dotted around the grassy hillside, dating back to the 12th century. It is thought that the villagers would bury their loved ones here, often in small wooden boats which would serve as their transport over to the wide river of death. Now, whilst all of this looks and sounds relatively normal, there are 4 things that made the City of the Dead appear on this list. Number 1. The roads to get here are treacherous, having to navigate narrow, steep mountain roads to get here. Number 2. The windows in the tombs allow you to gaze upon the uncovered remains of the deceased. Number 3. It is said that when plague struck the village, the villagers would go into the crypts to await their own death. Number 4. A local myth says that any man that dared enter the City of the Dead would never come out alive. Number 8. Eastern State Penitentiary. Located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, lies the infamous Eastern State Penitentiary. Built in 1829 and operational until 1971, this wagon wheel designed prison is considered by many to be one of the most haunted places in America. Known by most as the prison that housed Al Capone and bank robber Willie Sutton, Eastern State Penitentiary has a far more sinister past. Prison halls were designed to have the feel of a church. Cell doors were purposely small to force prisoners to bow when entering as a sign of penance. And each cell had one glass skylight representing the eye of God, suggesting that he was always watching them. But despite its religious overtones, the prison endorsed barbaric torture methods, including the water bath, where prisoners were dunked in cold water and hung outside on a wall to freeze. The iron gag, where their tongue was chained to their already bound wrists, causing it to tear at the slightest struggle. And a deep, dark pit called the Hole, where prisoners were thrown and would have no light, no human contact, and little food for weeks at a time. The prison has since reopened as a museum, bringing flocks of ghost hunters through its doors and a staggering amount of ghost stories along with it. Footsteps, whispers, the screams of torture, and demonic faces appearing on cell walls. Definitely not somewhere to go alone. Number 7. Mammoth Cave. Located in Mammoth Cave National Park, Kentucky, is the longest cave system known in the world, Mammoth Cave. It has more than 400 miles of surveyed passageways, which is almost the length of Florida. The cave's mammoth dome is 192 feet high, and the bottomless pit is 105 feet deep. Various tours of the cave system are run by the National Park Service. So why, I hear you ask, am I including this on the list? Well, first of all, let's take you 10 miles into the cave with your tour group. Now, let's take away your tour group, leaving you alone, staring into the vast echoing chambers. Now, let's turn off the lights. You will never, ever witness darkness like this again in your life. Immense, suffocating darkness that sends your senses into overdrive. Now, imagine having to find your way back. That's why Mammoth Cave made it onto this list. Oh, whatever you do, just don't think of that film. No, what was it? Oh yes, The Descent. Number 6. Ancient Ram Inn. Situated in the small market town of Wittenoom-under-Edge, England, the ancient Ram Inn was built in 1145, making it one of England's oldest surviving dwellings. Priests used this property to house slaves who were building the nearby parish church of St Mary the Virgin. The inn is said to be one of the most haunted places in England, and perhaps a contributing factor to this claim is that the inn was built on the site of an ancient pagan burial ground. Whilst the Ram Inn looks like a charming cottage with true English character, this couldn't be farther from the truth. Locals won't step foot inside the inn and are even said to cross the road when walking past. Regular overnight ghost tours of the ancient Ram Inn are still available, but most people don't make it through the night. Countless stories of terror are told about this place, from witches being burnt at the stake here to skeletons of children being found under the stairs. Many people have reported seeing the witch gazing at them from the shadows. Another frequently encountered spirit is that of a lady by the name of Elizabeth, who was murdered and buried beneath the bar. Most activity takes place within the bishop's room, a room with a thick, oppressive atmosphere that leaves guests frozen with fear. Ghosts spotted here are a young lady hanging from the ceiling, a monk, and that of a cavalier. There are also tales of an incubus and a succubus, that's a male and female sex demon, residing within these walls. With all of the witches, ghosts and demons here, this is definitely one slumber party to avoid attending on your own. Number 5. Wittenoom. Wittenoom is a former town situated northwest in Western Australia. It is now a declared contaminated site, and access to the former town has been restricted. So just what happened to Wittenoom? Prior to the 1930s, the area was untouched. That was until the Mines Department first reported that this would be an excellent place to mine. Mining activities here rapidly grew, and so Wittenoom town was built, and by the late 1950s it was Pilbaro's largest town. But what exactly were they mining in Wittenoom? Gold? Tin? Copper? No. It was actually blue asbestos. During the war, asbestos was high in demand due to its use in tanks, planes, battleships, helmets and gas masks. So it was easy to see how Wittenoom became one of the world's biggest exporters of asbestos. Conditions in the asbestos mines were poor. They were hot and extremely dusty, with little to no ventilation, and hours for the average worker were long. But the dangers of mining asbestos were still unknown. Dust levels were even high back in the town. It wasn't until about 10 years later that Dr. Eric Saint, a government medical officer, wrote to the health department about his concerns. After all, people are already showing signs of asbestos, which is scarring and inflammation of the lungs, later leading to lung cancer. The mine manager refused to listen, and the health department did not have the power to close the mines. 7,000 people worked in the mines during its years in operation, which only ceased in 1966. Most workers showed signs of asbestos even back then, but today their fate is unknown. All that remains of Wittenoom today are countless warning signs of the dangers within the area, and a ghost town that is literally gathering dust. Number 4. Gansbaai. On the coast of South Africa is a fishing town by the name of Gansbaai, a popular tourist destination due to its superb location for whale watching. But this is not what makes Gansbaai hit this list at number 4. 5 miles out to sea from Gansbaai, you come across 2 islands. The first is Dyer Island, famous for being the home of a colony of African penguins. The second island is Giza Rock, the smaller of the 2 islands and home to around 60,000 seals. Now, what happens when you have an island of penguins on one side and an island of seals on the other side? No, it's not the start of a bad joke. Instead, you have just constructed the perfect 2-course meal for none other than the great white shark. And the shallow channel between the 2 islands is famously known as Shark Alley, and it has a lot of them. Big ones. Very big ones. It's easy to see why Gansbaai's second and more popular tourist attraction is cage diving. Swimming here is not the wisest thing to do, but believe it or not, people still do it, and although shark attacks are not an everyday occurrence, figures show that this is a hot spot for fatal attacks. I guess who can blame the sharks for turning their 2-course snack into a 3-course meal, with the sweet taste of human flesh being their fulfilling dessert. Number 3. North Sentinel Island. Located within India's Bay of Bengal is an island lost in time by the name of North Sentinel Island. It is home to the Sentinelese, a tribe that has remained untouched by modern civilization for thousands of years. North Sentinel Island is one of the Andaman Islands. However, they speak an entirely different language here, despite their close proximity to other islands where indigenous people also reside. This proves that a significant period of separation is highly likely. So why would a tribal island make it to number 3 on this list, I hear you ask? Simply put, they will kill you if you go there. There have been 3 confirmed cases where outsiders have gone to the island and been killed. 2 fishermen in 2006 and an American missionary, John Allen Chow, in 2018. Many more cases have been reported of the Sentinelese repeatedly attacking approaching vessels with spears and arrows, and even attacked an Indian government helicopter that flew over to check on their well-being after the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami. It is thought that through living their secluded lives, the Sentinelese are at high risk of potential threats of infectious diseases from outsiders, to which they have no immunity. This has caused the Indian government to declare the island and surrounding waters to be an exclusion zone. So, if one-way boat trips are your thing, North Sentinel Island is the place for you. Number 2. Centralia. Centralia is a near ghost town situated in Columbia County, Pennsylvania. More than 1,000 people lived here in 1980, but now only 5 remain. It is known by many as the real Silent Hill town. It all started in 1798, when it was first documented that the area was rich in anthracite coal, the highest ranking of all coal types, due to its higher carbon content and highest energy density. Several coal mines were opened in the 1860s and continued to operate until the Wall Street crash of 1929, when all mines were eventually closed. In May 1962, it is thought that the council hired 5 members of the fire department to clean up the town landfill. They did so by setting the dump on fire, thus setting in motion a chain of events that could never be undone. An unsealed opening in the pits where the landfill was burning allowed the fire to enter the coal mines below. Since then, the fire has raged underground, causing sinkholes to appear and nearly killing a 12-year-old boy whose garden suddenly opened up beneath his feet. Lethal levels of carbon monoxide are now present in parts of the area, and smoke and steam can be seen rising from various cracks in the ground. Centralia quickly became a near-ghost town, and only 5 people who won their lawsuit to spend the rest of their lives there remain. Centralia, a peaceful town where a quiet morning walk could kill you in more ways than one. That's 9 down, and just 1 more to go. But before we see what's topped the list this week, I just wanted to thank you for tuning in. If you can do me the honour of subscribing and turning on your notifications, then I would be eternally grateful. By supporting this channel, it helps me to work on future videos tailored to what you, my viewers, want to see. How about answering the following question and leaving a comment below? Join me, Dr. Nebula, and let me take you to some of the darkest places known to man. Thank you. Number 1. Mponeng Gold Mine. Located 1 hour's drive outside Johannesburg, South Africa, Mponeng is the deepest mine on the planet. It extends over 4 kilometers, that's 2.5 miles beneath the ground, and the world's longest elevator that carries 120 miners at a time plummets down the shaft to the bottom at a staggering 40 miles per hour. As the lift descends into sheer darkness, for every 100 feet that you drop, the rock gets 1 degree warmer. By the time you reach the deepest point, the rock is a scalding 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you reach the blast zone, which is a giant wall of rock that needs to be blown up to extend the mine further to reach the reef of gold. And if all of this wasn't scary enough, fault lines run through the rock, making tremors and earthquake a regular occurrence and a real threat. The new chamber that has opened up due to the detonation quickly needs to be supported, as it is at high risk of caving in, with the sheer amount of force from the rock above pushing down on the newly formed ceiling. The risk of injury or even death is so real here, it's amazing that people actually do this as their daily job. Claustrophobia, sheer darkness, poisonous gases, explosions, earthquakes, cave-ins. Mponeng Gold Mine definitely deserves its place at the top. For the number 1 place, you should never go alone.